Felix Baumgartner's story does not begin at 39 kilometers. It starts much closer to the ground, on the edges of buildings and bridges. Before the spacesuit and the giant balloon, he learns to step into nothing and stay calm. Every jump asks the same question: how precise can a human be when the margin is thin? In 1999, the Petronas towers in Kuala Lumpur are more than a skyline icon to him. They are a puzzle. The record he wants is not just about height, it is about getting gear past security, slipping through service corridors, and reaching the edge without drawing a crowd. Up top, the air is messy. Wind wraps around the towers and kicks sideways off the glass. He has only moments to read those shifts and decide if today is a go or a no-go. That day, timing and air line up. He steps off, flies the line he planned, and lands with room to spare. The reward is not only the record, but proof that his method works when it counts. That same year in Rio de Janeiro, things tighten even more. A 29-meter jump from the hand of Christ the Redeemer leaves almost no space for error. The stone curves under his feet. The air twists around the statue and the hill. The consequence of any hesitation is obvious. He runs his routine until his mind goes quiet. Set the stance. Lock the body. Commit on a single beat. The drop is short, the opening clean, the landing exact. Another impossible-looking goal becomes part of his new normal. Over the next years, he keeps choosing projects that squeeze time and distance. In 2003, crossing the English Channel, he trades a classic parachute for a rigid wing. One jump becomes a long, silent glide, where he has to manage energy for tens of kilometers. Speed, body position, and a thin margin for lift leave little room if anything fades. There is no easy bailout above the water. He has to trust the plan and stay patient until the French coast finally rises in front of him. In 2004, the Millau Viaduct in France gives him another first. The bridge sits high above a valley. He climbs in the dark, then waits for a brief window when the gusts calm down. The exit is simple on purpose. One clean drop into space to give the parachute every chance to open straight. 2 years later, Malmö's turning torso asks for a two-part effort. First, a landing on the structure, then a base jump off it. He has to hit a small zone on steel with almost no backup plan. He resets his breathing, goes again, and commits. By the time he reaches Taipei 101 in 2007, his system for entering, waiting, and acting is sharp. The tower is higher, the air more complex, the security tighter. But the core stays the same: careful scouting, quiet patience, and one decisive step when the window finally opens. By 2010, the focus shifts from cities to the edge of space. Red Bull Stratos becomes his main project. The goal sounds simple: step off a capsule in the stratosphere and break the sound barrier in freefall. Living with that idea is harder. The pressurized suit brings a problem he cannot outjump. Locked inside, he feels trapped. Heart rate spikes, breathing shortens, and the walls seem to close in. Claustrophobia threatens the mission, so he treats it like another technical issue. Short sessions in the suit, then a break. Controlled breathing drills until the numbers drop. Repetition turns panic into routine. Test jumps over New Mexico turn theory into lived experience. In March 2012, the first dress rehearsal takes him to around 21.8 kilometers above Roswell. The numbers feel huge on paper, but the method stays the same. Inside the capsule, he runs through restraints, oxygen, and communications until each step lands in the same order every time. The goal is to make the strange feel normal before anything opens. When the door swings out, the view is wide, but the decision is small. Move to the edge. Check the body position. Step. He falls for just under 4 minutes, building speed toward about 580 kilometers per hour. There is no cheering from him on the way down, only quiet checks. Legs steady, arms where they belong. Altitude ticking toward the deployment point. When the canopy opens into clear desert air, he gets something data cannot show on its own. It is the feel of how fast the suit and his body react together. 4 months later in July, the second test pushes higher to around 96,640 feet. The stakes grow with every kilometer. A longer ride in the capsule tests patience and focus. He keeps the same routines from the first jump. Breathing cycles, visor checks, short clipped calls with the team so no message gets lost. This time the freefall runs for more than 3.5 minutes. Speed peaks around 536 miles per hour. It is fast enough to probe stability without yet breaking the sound barrier. The landing is rough on the hardware. The capsule takes damage and needs work. That could feel like a setback, but for him it is another line in the logbook. The human systems did what they were supposed to do. He and the team fixed the equipment, adjust the procedures, and move their focus to the full altitude attempt. The full jump begins long before he steps into the sky. On launch day in October 2012, a helium balloon waits on the desert floor outside Roswell. Now the launch window is real. Once the balloon lifts the capsule, the pace slows. Ascent takes more than 2 hours. Hydration through the suit system and small stretches against the harness help him stay present. Regular scans of instruments keep the numbers familiar, not threatening. The altitude climbs past airline levels into air where only balloons and rockets travel. As the altimeter nears 39 kilometers, he changes roles in his head. He is no longer a passenger. He is the pilot of his own exit. When the capsule stabilizes, the checklist becomes a lifeline. Pressure checks, valve settings, visor heat, communications with the team and with Joe Kittinger in his ear. Each response slows his breathing a little more. Then the door opens and the world turns quiet. Below him sits the curve of the earth, thin blue over dark. The task, however, stays simple. Move to the step, square the shoulders, lean forward and go. The first moments outside feel almost weightless. Then the thin atmosphere begins to bite, and any small asymmetry can grow. Within the first minute, he drops into a flat spin. Rotation speeds up, the horizon whips around, and the threat is clear. Years of drills answer before panic does. He tightens his body line and draws one arm in, then the other. He waits for the air to catch and slow the spin. It works. The rotation fades and the fall becomes stable again. Soon after, speed pushes past the sound barrier. He reaches around Mach 1.25, roughly 1,350 kilometers per hour. There is no dramatic shock, just more thin air and the same need to hold his shape. Later, another issue appears. His visor begins to fog, cutting down what he can see. That changes the plan. Instead of chasing the longest possible free fall, he shifts to safety. He watches his instruments and opens his main parachute earlier than planned. The canopy ride closes the arc. Legs feel heavy after oxygen debt and strain, so he keeps the landing pattern short and simple. One final flare, a short run on dusty ground, and the risk turns back into routine. Cameras close in and numbers start to flow, but for him the jump is already over. What matters now is what the data and the debriefs will say about how close they came to the line. The jump does not become history the moment his feet hit the ground. That part comes later, in quiet offices and long forms. In February 2013, the International Air Sports Federation reviews the data and confirms 3 records: exit altitude, maximum vertical speed without a stabilizing drogue, vertical freefall distance without a drogue. The categories are narrow by design, so future attempts can be compared cleanly. 2 years later, Google engineer Alan Eustace rides a different balloon even higher. His system uses a drogue for stability, so the numbers fall into other record slots. But altitude is altitude. Felix loses one headline mark and keeps others. Together, their flights draw a new ceiling for human body flight. Behind the image of a man alone above the planet stands a network of habits and voices. One of the strongest is Joe Kittinger, the former Air Force officer who jumped from 31 kilometers in 1960. For Stratos, he becomes a mentor. His calm voice keeps Felix anchored. Short questions, simple confirmations, a steady rhythm when stress tries to rush things. Felix's replies show years of discipline. He keeps his words tight. Checklists set the tempo. Each call and response removes one small decision from his mind, creating space for the unexpected. Those moments no one can fully rehearse. These habits didn't start with Stratos. They come from years of urban base jumps, bridge exits, and helicopter work. City projects taught him to read wind in seconds and land in tight zones. Aviation later sharpened his sense of approach paths, escape lines, and G-force tolerance. Through it all, the pattern stays the same. Break big risks into simple steps. Trust routine when fear spikes. Adjust slowly when facts shift. Spectators see a single leap from a capsule. Inside the sport, people see the long chain of quiet repetitions that made that leap possible. The line of careful risk does not protect him forever. In July 2025, during a paramotoring flight over Porto San Elpidio in Italy, something goes wrong. Witnesses describe a spiral and a hard impact. Debris strikes people on the ground, and one bystander is killed. Felix is seriously injured and taken to hospital. For a life built on reading air and controlling descents, the ending feels brutal. It underlines a truth that hangs over every extreme sport. Skill and discipline can push the odds, but they never erase them. From the outside, Felix Baumgartner's story looks like a highlight reel. Famous buildings, a long glide, a fall from near space. From the inside, it runs on something quieter. He treats every project the same way. Break the goal into small steps. Learn the wind and terrain early. He uses short checklists and clear calls when pressure spikes. When reality shifts, he adjusts one decision at a time. The Stratos jump is that mindset under maximum stress. A flat spin stops because he trusts drilled corrections. A fogging visor turns a record chase into an early parachute. The numbers matter, but the method is what lasts. It is a way to move through fear with discipline,